The road has a way of clearing your mind. When everything else is loud, the road tells the truth, and the truth is this. Some people do not lose you by accident. They lose you because you finally choose yourself. This is the story of how my own family crossed the line they could never uncross, and how my wedding day became the moment I stopped going back. I never thought I would have to explain my wedding day by starting with a story about my childhood. But the truth is, nothing that happened came out of nowhere. What unfolded that day was the result of years of tension, ignored red flags, and a family dynamic that had been broken long before I ever put on a wedding dress. I am 31 years old now, and I have an older sister who is 2 years older than me. We have not had a real relationship for about 5 years. When people hear that, they often assume something dramatic must have happened all at once. In reality, it was a slow unraveling, one that started quietly and built up over time until there was no way to ignore it anymore. Growing up, my sister and I were constantly compared. We were close in age, so people treated us like a matched set. Same schools, same activities, same expectations. If one of us succeeded, it was immediately measured against the other. I learned early on how to stay quiet, how to step back, how not to take up too much space. My sister, on the other hand, never had that instinct. She was outgoing, confident, and knew exactly how to draw attention to herself. As kids, we did have moments that felt normal. We played board games on rainy afternoons. We shared a room for a while and whispered secrets after our parents thought we were asleep. We went on family trips where we laughed and fought and made up like sisters do. Those memories are real, and I do not deny them. But even back then, there was an undercurrent I did not fully understand. As we got older, that undercurrent became more obvious. In school, everything turned into a comparison. If I did well on an exam, she needed to do better. If I joined an activity, she had to be the best at hers. At first, I told myself this was normal, that siblings push each other, that competition can be healthy. But over time, her reaction stopped feeling like motivation and started feeling like resentment. What hurt the most was not the competition itself. It was the way she talked about my achievements. She rarely acknowledged them without adding a comment that minimized their value. When I got accepted into a good college, she brushed it off as if it were nothing special. When I worked hard for something, she acted like it had been handed to me. I learned to celebrate quietly. As adults, I tried to create distance. I focused on my education, my career, and building a life that felt stable. I did not want conflict. I wanted peace. But my sister never really let the competition go. Even casual conversations felt tense. There was always an edge, a subtle reminder that she was watching, measuring, comparing. Despite all of that, a part of me still hoped we could fix things. I wanted to believe that someday we would grow out of it. That time and maturity would smooth the rough edges. That hope lasted until the moment she crossed a line I could not uncross. I had been working toward a specific career goal for years. It was not just a job. It was a position in a competitive field where trust and reputation mattered deeply. I had spent years preparing for it. Long nights studying, extra certifications, unpaid internships, networking events where I felt out of place but showed up anyway. When I finally received the offer, I felt proud in a way I had never felt before. It was the kind of opportunity people talk about as a turning point, the kind you plan your life around. I allowed myself to be excited. I shared the news with my family, including my sister. Her reaction was not supportive. She made comments that sounded casual but carried weight. She warned me not to get too comfortable. She joked about how pressure makes people crack. She implied that things like this do not last. I told myself I was overthinking it, that she was just being herself. I was wrong. A few days before I was supposed to start, I received a call from the company's human resources department. The tone was formal and distant, nothing like the warm conversations I had during the interview process. Before she even finished explaining, I knew something was wrong. She told me the company was withdrawing the offer. I remember my hands going cold. My heart started racing. I asked why, barely able to keep my voice steady. After a pause, she explained that they had received an email from someone claiming to be a concerned family member. The email raised serious concerns about my character and past behavior. She did not read it word for word, but she summarized enough for me to understand. It contained false claims about long-term personal struggles, financial dishonesty, and legal trouble. None of it was true. I had never experienced those issues. I had never been in trouble. I had never done anything that would justify those accusations. It did not matter. She explained that given the nature of the role, they could not take the risk. There would be no appeal, no chance to explain. The decision had already been finalized. When the call ended, I sat in silence. I replayed the conversation over and over, trying to understand how my life had shifted so quickly. Then it hit me. There was only one person who could have written that email: my sister. I drove to her apartment immediately. I did not call ahead. I did not knock. I confronted her directly. I expected denial. I expected excuses. What I did not expect was how calmly she admitted it. She said she was trying to help me. She told me I was getting arrogant, that I needed to be humbled, that I was not as special as I thought I was. I felt like I was watching a stranger speak. I asked her how she could do something so cruel, how she could lie so easily. She laughed. She told me I would thank her one day, that this was a lesson. That moment changed everything. I realized she did not feel guilt. She did not feel regret. She did not see the damage she had done as real. To her, my future was something she could interfere with if it made her feel better. I walked out and cut contact that day. My parents tried to mediate. At first, they seemed sympathetic. Over time, that sympathy turned into pressure. They wanted forgiveness. They wanted peace at any cost. They told me family mattered more than careers, more than boundaries, more than trust. I disagreed. Years passed. I rebuilt my life slowly. I met my partner. We built something healthy and supportive together. When we got engaged, I knew exactly what I wanted and what I did not. My sister was not invited. My parents argued. They begged. They guilted. Eventually, they said they accepted my decision. I believed them. That was my mistake. I truly believed that by setting clear boundaries, I had protected myself. I thought that by being firm and honest with my parents about my sister not being welcome, I had closed the door on future drama. I was wrong. The morning of my wedding started calmly. I remember waking up feeling nervous but happy, the kind of nerves that come with something meaningful. My partner was calm, reassuring, focused on us and the life we were about to start together. For a moment, everything felt exactly how it was supposed to feel. The venue looked beautiful. Friends and extended family were arriving. There was laughter, music, small talk. I let myself believe that this day would be untouched by the past. That illusion did not last. We were in the middle of taking photos when one of my cousins approached me. His face was tense, uncomfortable. He told me something was wrong and asked me to come with him. The way he spoke made my stomach tighten before I even knew what was happening. When I walked toward the entrance, I saw them, my parents, and standing between them, dressed as if she belonged there, was my sister. For a second, everything went quiet in my head. Then the anger hit, sharp and overwhelming. My heart started pounding so hard I could feel it in my throat. I felt embarrassed, betrayed, and furious all at once. My sister looked smug, calm, almost amused. My parents tried to act like nothing was wrong. They said they were just trying to make things right, that it was my wedding day and family should be together. They spoke as if they had not deliberately ignored my wishes. I told them to leave. I did not hesitate. I did not soften my words. I told them clearly that my sister was not welcome and that they needed to go. They refused. My sister raised her voice. She accused me of being dramatic. She said I was holding on to old grudges. She minimized what she had done years ago, acting as if it were a misunderstanding instead of a calculated betrayal. Guests started noticing. People stopped talking. I could feel eyes on us. I felt exposed and humiliated on what was supposed to be the happiest day of my life. My parents tried to intervene, but not in my favor. They pushed me to let it go, to think about family, to not cause a scene. I realized then that they were never on my side. I took out my phone and called the police. Making that call was one of the hardest things I have ever done. I never imagined involving law enforcement with my own family, but I also knew that if I backed down, this pattern would never stop. The officers arrived quickly. They were calm and professional. They asked my parents and sister to leave the premises. My parents hesitated but seemed to understand the seriousness of the situation. My sister did not. She argued. She raised her voice. She refused to cooperate. Her behavior drew even more attention from guests who were now fully aware that something serious was happening. When the officers asked for identification, the tone shifted. There was a pause as they ran her information. The air felt heavy. I could tell something was wrong before anyone said a word. That was when we learned my sister had an active warrant related to financial crimes involving false identities. I was shocked. I had no idea. My parents looked just as stunned. What was supposed to be a simple removal turned into something far more serious. The officers placed her in restraints as she protested. My parents panicked. They tried to intervene physically. They were warned to step back. They did not listen. That decision made everything worse. Both of my parents were detained as well for interfering. I stood there, frozen, watching as all three of them were taken away in front of my guests. I felt numb, not surprised, exactly, just exhausted. The wedding could not continue. I apologized to everyone and told them the event was over. I was not even sure what I was apologizing for. The situation felt unreal. In the days that followed, the emotional fallout hit hard. My parents blamed me. They said I overreacted. They said family should never involve the police. They ignored the fact that they had crossed every boundary I had set. My sister remained in custody. As I learned more about her situation, I realized this behavior was not new. It was a pattern. Manipulation, deception, avoiding consequences. My partner became my anchor through all of it. We talked constantly about boundaries, about the future, about whether cutting ties completely was the healthiest option. Eventually, we decided it was. We chose to have a small, private ceremony with close friends and my partner's parents. It was simple, peaceful, real. That day felt like a reset. Even then, my parents continued spreading their version of events. They painted themselves as victims. They claimed I had cut them off for no reason. Some people believed them, others did not. I stopped explaining myself. Over time, I realized something important. I had spent years trying to earn respect from people who did not want to give it. Letting go was painful, but it was also freeing. My sister is now facing serious consequences for her actions. My parents are still in denial. I no longer feel responsible for fixing any of it. I am building a new family now, one based on trust, honesty, and respect. For anyone dealing with toxic family dynamics, this is what I have learned. You are not obligated to sacrifice your peace to maintain appearances. Boundaries are not punishment. They are protection. Walking away is not easy, but sometimes it is the only way forward.